solid clap. Perfect. And we are rolling.
Do you need me to clap?
If you want to do a clap, go ahead. Clap, man. No.
That was a terrible clap. That was the worst.
Oof. I think you should leave.
Yeah, see ya. Hello and welcome to another episode of Brain Fuzzies. To my left, I have a very special guest, Celementine from Cherry Glazerr. How the heck are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Doing really well. Just listened to your sound check, and we're super excited to have you today at the Depressed Monsters Showcase.
Can't wait to be here.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. I guess we'll just jump right into it. Your newest single, Daddi, is amazing. And I've been following you guys for a while, and I'm not just saying that as like a new fan or anything like that. I really think it's a really, really cool progression as a band when so many bands are kind of not taking cool risks and stuff. What was the inspiration behind that song?
Well, Daddi came about after I had sort of stepped away from a long-term relationship. And I don't know, I guess I was kind of thinking about the ways in which I perpetuated a lot of damaging heteronormative tendencies, like myself and in my relationship. And I guess I was just writing from the perspective of someone like confronting that relationship and being kind of satirical about it in a way that I never had the boobs to do when I was in the relationship.
That's the beautiful thing about art, though, is that you can say your truth whenever you need to.
Yeah, it's
true.
true.
I mean, that really comes through on the song. I mean, even on the first listen, I was like, oh, okay, I get this. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So on this show, we talk a lot about how mental health not affects, but kind of drives artists. For me personally, the whole point of Depressed Monsters is that my grandfather passed, and so I started doing self-portraits, and it pushed me to start making art, and that's what kind of formed the company. For you, are there any other art outlets that you partake in when you're maybe going through depression or anxiety, if that's something that you do go through?
I don't have other outlets. I just make songs all the time, every day. I come up with melodies or ideas for stuff, especially when I'm anxious and depressed. That's usually when I spend a lot of time by myself writing. And I feel like in those moments, there's so much pent-up feeling that happens when we like suffer from anxiety and depression. I feel like a lot of times that's when like a lot of stuff like pours out of me.
Right. Yeah, it's so easy to...
Not to romanticize depression or anxiety. I think that there's a lot of great art makers who are not anxious and depressed, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm almost envious of that to a point where I'm just like, I mean...
Definitely, me
because,
too.
yeah, I'm trying to, like, I've built a career off of my depression and trying to help others that suffer from it to put a face to it and a monster to it, but I'm so jealous of those that can create without that, because I know that for me it's really hard to create when I'm not feeling those feelings, because I'm so focused on the highs, and that's so bad because I mean, through therapy I've learned that, you know, you're supposed to find that middle ground, and the highs are just as dangerous as the lows. And so I know for me, when I see other artists that are just creating and creating and creating, I'm so jealous of that, because I'm like, oh, you get to do that when you're healthy, and that's so cool. But maybe that's what we're all trying to find by creating art.
Yeah, I think I've come to realize that I don't stop making art when I'm happy. It's just different art. And so I don't think that, but I think I used to tell myself I can only make art when I'm depressed.
Sure.
And I only write when I'm depressed, and when I'm too happy, I can't write. But I've started to realize that that's not true. And that oftentimes when I'm not feeling depressed and I'm like sort of exploring the world a lot more and getting out, I am inspired by so many different things.
That's awesome.
And I'm not in my head as much, and that's like, so it's just a different type of art.
That's awesome. It sounds really healthy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I try. I wouldn't call myself particularly healthy mentally.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes.
I feel really, though, it's cool to be talking to you about this because I feel like you can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I try to. I'm always trying to learn as much as I can and understand like the correct lingo, because I would never want to offend anybody. And I have trouble with that too, where I think about romanticizing it a lot, and I don't want to ever do that. Like, I grew up loving Edgar Allan Poe and Tim Burton and all these like sad creators, and so to me it was always one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, being sad is the cool thing to do, because then you get to be really moody and like create these things. And so I know recently, probably like the past couple years or so, I've been trying to do the same thing where I'm like, okay, now what do I create when I'm not depressed or anxious or having panic attacks or my skin's not crawling? So yeah, I think we're all just trying to find that healthy medium. So
Totally.
yeah, well, this has been super great. I'm not gonna take up any more of your time.
Thanks
I gave
for
you,
talking to me.
of course, here's a little gift bag for you.
Cute.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, and see you later.